People were confused because they're like, is this girl pregnant? Like, how is she getting married and pregnant?
So, a lot of you noticed something in my last wedding video. Yes, I was visibly pregnant at my Scottish wedding. And no, it's not what you might be thinking. In today's video, I'm going to share the whole story of how a Scottish revert like me ended up marrying a Pakistani Muslim and how we navigated the mix of culture, faith, and family expectations. From our Nikkah and Walima in September to our legal Scottish wedding the following July, to juggling timelines, traditions, and explanations. It's been a journey, and I want to take you behind the scenes of how we managed to make both our families happy and, of course, ourselves too. So if you're in a similar position, I hope this helps you.
My idea is that I'm going to talk to you and do my makeup at the same time. I like when people do that, but I've never done that before. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to think straight and do my makeup at the same time. I don't know if that type of already gone. I don't know if that kind of multitasking is something that I can do, but let's have a try anyway. So the story that I want to talk about today is about my marriage. So I randomly uploaded 2 wedding videos with no explanation. The first one I uploaded was my Scottish wedding, or Scottish Pakistani wedding I called it, because it did sort of incorporate some elements of both cultures. I was pregnant in that video, as I am now. I am 9 months pregnant as of filming. This video is September 2025, if that's of interest. That Scottish Pakistani wedding happened in July of this year, 2025. Obviously, understandably, people were confused because they're like, is this girl pregnant? Like, how is she getting married and pregnant? Some of you, more eagle-eyed, detail-orientated viewers, saw in the description that I said that this was our second time celebrating our wedding. Some of you got it, not everyone, but I don't blame the people that didn't, because I would honestly be confused too, to be honest. Then after that, I uploaded another wedding video, which was our Pakistani Nikkah and Walima ceremony. So this ceremony actually happened in September of 2024. So I uploaded that video this month, September, on our 1-year wedding anniversary. If you're in like a similar position, I hope this helped. Like, I know it's more and more common these days that people are in mixed marriages, like mixed faith, mixed culture. And the thing is, although I am a revert, so it's not like a mixed faith marriage between me and my husband, my family are not Muslim. There are a lot of aspects to consider if you're in that situation. You have to think about the religious aspects of the marriage, and then you also have to think about the cultural aspects. And actually, when it comes down to it, I think satisfying the cultural aspects is the part that takes more time rather than the religious aspects. The religious aspects are quite simple. Like for us Muslims, we just have to have a nikah, and then we have to feed everyone after it. So that part is quite clear. But how you satisfy your families in order to make them feel like they got to really celebrate you, and how you satisfy all the traditions that you've grown up with, that part is a lot more complicated. So in this video, I'll probably talk a bit more about that. The first part I want to talk about is timelines. I actually think this was the part that was the most complicated when it comes to multicultural and multi-religion marriage. There's 2 things you have to satisfy. The first thing is obviously the religious aspect. Like, I wanted to keep things halal. We've been friends for like 9 years, as was mentioned in the wedding video, if you pay attention. And then at the point that I decided we decided that we wanted to be together and be married and all that, like I wanted to keep it halal, especially because I'd like just reverted, blah, blah, blah. So that meant that, and then generally speaking, that's what's normal for Muslims, is to like kind of get married out of the blue. And I say out of the blue because for like white people, for Western culture, it seems like very out of the blue. But obviously planning does go into it, conversations go into it. But it's not like you're like living together, boyfriend and girlfriend, or doing all that stuff first, which is what's more normal in like white or Western culture. So the timeline was difficult because I wanted to keep things halal, number 1. And number 2, so it's like the amount of notice that you give is really different. So what I've seen from Pakistanis is that this, generally speaking, they tend to own their own businesses. They tend to live life quite free. Like any given weekend kind of planning, not very far in advance. They tend to be able to like come to a wedding with a month's notice, that sort of thing. White culture is the opposite of that. If you were to announce your wedding like 3 months before the wedding, people are going to assume it's a shotgun wedding, which means the bride is pregnant, which is really funny because although I announced my wedding to my family a year in advance, my white wedding, I was actually pregnant at my wedding. So if you watch the videos, it does look like a shotgun wedding, despite the fact that I wasn't. which is very entertaining to me. A lot of both of our families live abroad, so a lot of his family are in Pakistan, and a lot of my family are in the US and in Panama. You have to give time for everyone to get visas and be able to travel. And again, like, white people aren't gonna like want to take an international trip at the drop of like a hat, like at such short notice. The other thing is, alhamdulillah, we both come from really big families. This is also something that you might deal with. And something that I worried a lot about was making sure that everyone felt included. So although I have some people that live, like some family members that live close by, I have a lot of family members that don't live close by. So the idea of like inviting people at a really short notice, where like I just knew some people couldn't come, that just didn't really sit right with me. So the choice I made was to let my extended family come to the, or like wait and come to the Scottish wedding, which I knew I could give them the time that they needed to be able to arrange that. And then I just didn't bring them to the Pakistani one because I felt like it wouldn't be fair to, so I felt that I would be forcing them to miss out because I just knew it wasn't enough timing. Now, do I regret that? Actually, yes, I do kind of regret that because I tend to be a bit less controlling these days, and I think that what I should have done was just given them the option, let them be adults, and those that could come, and those that couldn't. So that's one advice I would give, is that. And also, like, I think I worried about what they would think, like, because my husband hadn't had that natural introduction to my wider family, as in we weren't known as boyfriend and girlfriend for a few years before. Our engagement was just like a month or two before the wedding. So I did worry about what they would all think, like, to attend this wedding out of the blue, and now I'm like wearing his scarf and stuff. So I was a bit a bit worried about their judgment, but I think in hindsight I should have just trusted that they would want to be there for me, and that those that could come would come, and those that couldn't, and that it's really not that big of a deal. Even if they did think that's a bit weird, they would have had fun. So I do look back at those videos and think, oh, I wish that they were there, or I wish that I had been more open to giving them the opportunity to be there. That position, like if you're a revert, you have like non-Muslim family, or even if it's the other way around, I think just let them be there, and they probably will just have a good time and want to be happy for you. Breaking into a full sweat as though I've been running when all I've been doing is talking is the most pregnancy coded thing ever. Like, this is such a weird time. I'll talk a bit about the types of ceremony that you might want to include if you're in a similar position. So we obviously have the Nikkah, which will be done by an imam from the mosque wherever you choose to have your Nikkah done. So what I've seen to be quite common, what we did and what another friend of ours did, who was also doing a kind of mixed faith, mixed culture wedding, is that you'll often, and maybe this is quite normal to be honest, is you'll often have your Nikkah in a mosque, but the room that the ceremony is in is not the room where everyone prays. It's like a reception room, or a room that is for kind of events, talks, that sort of stuff. And the sort of benefit to that is that typically women don't need to cover their hair in that section of the mosque. Now, obviously don't quote me on this, like that might not technically be true, but that's what I've seen to be true from the imams and stuff that are in those mosques, is to say like in those areas you're actually fine. And the reason I bring that up is that can be a huge factor in how comfortable your non-Muslim family feel. I thought that was like quite a nice thing, to be honest, was that they were able to just come in dressed as they were, obviously modestly and stuff, but not have to worry about like covering their hair or anything like that, because I think that is one of the biggest worries that your non-Muslim people, your non-Muslim family might have in attending your Nikkah, is that, like, oh my gosh, am I dressed appropriately? Do I have to like cover my hair? The really fun thing that we did for our Nikkah was I helped my mum find some Pakistani outfits for both our Nikkah and our Walima. So she was so excited to wear those. She looked fabulous, might I say. And it made it really like fitting. And those outfits are naturally modest, so it meant that those outfits fit perfectly with that venue, without the need to like cover the hair or anything like that. And same with all my friends. They basically all wore either like some sort of South Asian dress, traditional dress. So that was really fun, and they all really enjoyed that. One of my friends, I actually took her shopping in Glasgow to look for some outfits, and that was just a really fun day, and she had so much fun and was obsessed with the outfit that she got. So that's something that's really fun about having a mixed culture wedding, is the opportunity to share traditional dress across families. And we also had that opportunity at our Scottish Pakistani wedding, because the men in my husband's family also decided to wear kilts, which is Scottish traditional dress. And the men in my family decided to wear shalwar kameez in the Nikkah. So that was just so fun, and they all looked amazing in those traditional outfits. As for the type of ceremony for the white wedding, originally what I wanted to do was have my brother act as the celebrant to marry us, but we would get legally married at the courthouse prior or after. But then my mum said that she wanted it to be more formal, like more like a proper ceremony, especially since people were going to be traveling from so far. So what we ended up doing was getting a humanist celebrant, who is basically not affiliated with any religion or anything really. They are basically, what they do is they meet you as the couple before and learn about your love story, and then they write a story about you guys, about how you met, things about your personality, and then the ceremony is just that story. So it's really nice because obviously a lot of your extended family, especially if they live abroad, they might not know in detail your guys' story. And it's just a beautiful thing, honestly, to have your kind of friendship turn to love story told in one thing. And then at the end of that, then they get you to say the legal vows. So of course, you can get legally married at the same time as getting your nikah done. But we chose to hold off on our legal marriage so as to have a ceremony for our Western white wedding that little bit of time later. So that's something you can think about doing. But when you do the legally binding part, it doesn't really matter, honestly. You could do it at your nikah and you could still have that humanist celebrant, or you could have like a close family member or something marry you at your later wedding. I think the only part that's important is just making sure you have your religious marriage, like your nikah, done ASAP. Oh, we did also have a henna party for our Pakistani wedding, but there's no video of that because that was like a girls only one, just for dancing and having fun, letting loose. So we had our nikah, then we had our henna party, then we had our walima, all across the span of 2 days. I will still say though that regretfully for both weddings there were still family members that couldn't be there, and that was just like visa issues, so we missed them so much. Maybe we need to have a third wedding so that they can join. But yeah, I think our main goals for the wedding, for all our weddings, were that we wanted to celebrate with our family, we wanted our family to feel included, and we wanted both our families to feel that they had ownership over their events. We're both the eldest siblings in our families, so for both of us, both of our parents, sets of parents, it was the first wedding that they had thrown. So we wanted to give them that, and I think we were successful in that they got to have their events the way that they envisioned them without having to compromise. Because the other way that you could do it would be to have both sets of parents sit together and plan this really mixed wedding, trying to incorporate both cultures. I think that would be quite hard because the parents are basically strangers to each other at this point, and each culture has quite specific things that need to happen for it to feel like a proper wedding. That's why I feel like I can't imagine how you would do that successfully. I think keeping them separate, letting each family get the wedding that they envision, is the best way, if possible. It's a hard balance to strike, but I think, Alhamdulillah, I think we were successful. And also our goal was obviously for ourselves to feel like it was a wedding, that it was our marriage, that it was what we wanted. I think I had so much fun at the Nikkah and the Walima. It was just a once in a lifetime experience. I love watching those videos. But there was something about the white wedding that made me feel like, oh, this is me getting married, because I felt like, because it's kind of what I had maybe envisioned growing up. When you're a little girl, you're obviously really influenced by the culture around you. So I would be much more influenced by the white dress, by the type of, all these things. So I think there was something about that really felt like, okay, this is my wedding. But at the same time, from the religious point of view, I really felt at the Nikkah, okay, now we're husband and wife. So that was a huge goal that we had, was for ourselves to enjoy it and to feel that it was us getting married and everything like that. So I think we're also successful in that regard. If there's anything specific that I haven't covered that you would like to know more about with regard to the two types of weddings, just leave a comment below and I'll maybe make another video, or if I can just reply directly to the comment. But yeah, inshallah, you're all well, and see you next time. Can I just say that, like, when people talk about pregnancy being 9 months, it's really not. It's actually 10 months. So I don't know why everyone talks about 9 months, because it's not 9 months. Like, 40 weeks is full term in the UK, and that's 10 months. And easily you can go to 42 weeks, which is 10.5 months, which is the best part of a year. So why do we call pregnancy 9 months? I don't know. I'm also sweating as I do this, which is another fun side effect of pregnancy. Okay, what's the word? Cross faith, multi-faith. Absolutely. Sweating.